Abbott is speaking. He's in the seat of Lindsay.
Leader of the opposition, Julie Bishop. Less than 3 days to go now. It's very important that we focus on the fundamentals of this campaign. This campaign has always been a referendum on the carbon tax. If you want to scrap the carbon tax, you've got to vote for the coalition in the House and in the Senate. If for whatever reason you think that the carbon tax is a great idea, well, fine. Vote for the Labor Party, even though it wasn't honest about it before the last election and hasn't been honest about it before this election either, because we've got Mr Rudd pretending to abolish the carbon tax, and yet you've got his ministers saying that if the coalition were to win on Sunday, they would defy the people's mandate and vote to keep the carbon tax in the Senate. Well, how can you say one day that you are abolishing the carbon tax and on the next day say that you would vote to keep the carbon tax should it come before the Senate after an election? Labor just doesn't know where it stands, and Labor politicians just don't know what they're talking about. They don't care. They don't care. They will say and do whatever it takes to try to sneak back in this election through their deals with the Greens and other minor parties. But with the coalition, it's absolutely crystal clear what you'll get. If you vote for the coalition candidate, if the coalition wins the election, we'll build a stronger economy so that everyone can get ahead. We'll scrap the carbon tax, we'll end the waste, we'll stop the boats, and we'll build the road to the 21st century. But to do all of that, we need a strong and stable majority government in both houses of Parliament. Again, I want to reiterate that from the coalition over the last 3 years, you've had the same clear plans and the same strong team. It's great to be here with Julie Bishop this afternoon. Julie started her day in Perth, but she's here in New South Wales now to campaign with me and my colleagues over the next couple of days. I started the day in the Sydney markets with Joe Hockey and Barry O'Farrell. It demonstrates the strength of our team, both at the federal level and at the state level. We are all one solid, united coalition working together to give Australia the better government that we certainly deserve after 6 years of divided and dysfunctional government from Labor. I'm going to ask Julie to say a few words, and then we'll take just a couple of questions.
Thanks. I'm delighted to be here in Western Sydney with my friend and colleague, my leader, Tony Abbott, and Fiona Scott, our outstanding candidate for the seat of Lindsay. A hallmark of the Coalition's campaign has been how united and disciplined and focused our team has been. And that reflects the last 3 years as the Coalition has worked together as a team to develop policies that will promote growth, that will support jobs, that will restore business and consumer and investment confidence. And if the Australian people vote for the Coalition to form government on Saturday, they will have certainty and stability and competence at the heart of government. I'm delighted to be here with Tony to spend the next couple of days campaigning with him. We are a great team. I'm delighted with the candidates that we have around the country, and as I've travelled from east to west, north to south, I've met so many of them, and they're all working very hard to be the best candidates they can be and to be part of the best government that we are able to form, should that be the wish of the Australian people.
Okay, do we have a couple of questions?
Policy costings, a lot of them have been released today. Is that, what you're going to do? Are you satisfied with the numbers they've released?
Yet again, this exercise by Labor has blown up in its face. The Treasurer has purported to release Labor's costings. In fact, he's released less than half of the 66 policies that have been submitted for costing, and then there are some 13 policies that have been announced and not even submitted for costing. This is more demonstration of what a complete shambles this government is. After being in power for 6 years, after having all the resources of Treasury and Finance at their disposal for 6 years, this is the embarrassing shambles that the Labor Party has become.
Mr Abbott, what's your response to Kevin Rudd's comments today? He's accused you of driving the economy into the recession on the back of today's GDP growth figures.
Yes, growth remains subdued. This demonstrates the need to elect a government with a clear plan to revitalise our economy. We will revitalise our economy. We'll abolish the carbon tax, we'll abolish the mining tax, we'll cut red tape, we'll restore the Australian Building and Construction Commission, we'll shift the industrial pendulum back to the sensible centre. This is what our country needs if we are going to have the growth and the prosperity and the decent government services that people have a right to expect. On the subject of recession, well, the last person to give Australia a recession was a former Labor Prime Minister with whom the current Labor Prime Minister is hobnobbing during the campaign. Labor are the recession experts. If you want strong economic growth, you know who to turn to. That's the coalition. We've given it to you before and we can do it for you again.